welcome back to part 2. We're going to continue our conversation about the recruiting process, about becoming a trooper with the Oklahoma Highway Patrol. Okay, so we've passed the background investigation. We're moving on. Where are we at now?
Usually after background investigation, you'll start getting emails for a command staff interview. So that command staff interview is after we've kind of gathered all that background information. We've said, hey, this person I believe is going to be right for this position as a cadet in the academy.
And it's really good. So sometimes also, which I'm glad we brought this up, is like this, the 75th Academy that's getting ready to start in March. I can't remember the number. We'll say 20-something of the people on this roster were alternates. And they don't sound quite as excited or happy on the other side of the phone because they don't know what we know, right? They're kind of in the dark. But the last few academies that we've worked and we've had alternates for, we've used 100% of the alternates every single time.
Okay.
So just because you're an alternate, there's no guarantee that we're always going to use 100% of them, but it's also not a bad or a negative thing. Maybe there's just a certain reason why or why not the full-on commitment yet. But there's nothing saying that you won't end up on the A roster.
Okay.
Yeah, so that conditional offer comes, and most of the time me and Austin are Trooper Brown.
Yeah.
We call and we notify them, and it's great. And with this one, with the 20 alternates, we called them initially and told them that, hey, you're alternates, and then we had to call them all back, say, hey, guess what? You're in this academy. So that was a pretty good thing as well too.
How exciting is it to hear someone on the other end of the phone be excited about that?
No, it's because it's life changing realistically, especially if this is something that they've had a passion for, they've wanted to do their whole life, and you're able to tell them, hey, yeah, you're going to be in this next academy.
It is very interesting from the recruiter standpoint as far as like starting a relationship with these troopers, so on. Because part of the reason why I also wanted to get into the Highway Patrol is just looking at the camaraderie and the brotherhood. Seeing those guys at the coffee shop or the diner and that kind of a thing. So I'm getting a leg up, getting to contact these people before they meet their tax or so on and so forth. But it's really awesome to see a guy that was, just some regular Joe on the street to go through and transform into a trooper, and then you already see him. There's people 2 years down the road that I've already had a relationship with.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is personal for you guys because you guys are, from the very beginning, recruiting your partners, recruiting partners for your other partners right across the state. So, yeah, definitely an important job. I'm super thankful for the work that you guys do. The numbers have definitely increased since you guys have been on the recruiting trail. All right, so here we are. So someone's gotten the offer. They're going to go through the OLERS process to make sure they're good for retirement. They're going to go through a medical screening to make sure they're physically fit for the job. And uniform fittings, they get to try on a uniform, kind of get an idea about how it's going to fit before they go through the academy. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so once the conditional offers are sent, that's when they'll start scheduling for those uniform fittings and making sure everything, like you said, for the OLERS board and everything is good. After that, it's kind of a wait, and that's kind of where we've seen some, people pull applications, but realistically, it's the unknown that's kind of scaring some of these people. But yeah, it's once that's done, you get your uniform fitting, and then you're waiting for that conditional offer. And what we usually do, we'll have either a Zoom meeting or an in-person meeting before the academy starts to kind of give them a little bit more information. So they'll be setting up all their stuff with HR when it comes to like health insurance, any type of life insurance. If you have kids or dependents, they'll have all that stuff set up as well too, and just kind of give you everything that you need for those final steps, which is going to be that insurance. It's going to be your if you want to set up an account for savings or financial stuff for payday, all that good stuff. But it's that last little part that's definitely time consuming, and that anticipation is what really I kind of
sitting around chewing your nails, waiting.
Right. What are they waiting for? Here's where we talk about the academy. What's the anticipation? What's academy life look like? Let's talk about that. Both of you guys have been TAC officers in patrol school, so you got a firsthand knowledge of this experience.
Yeah, man, I would say, which Keaton's been, how many, 4? 4. He's got a leg up on me. I've only done 1, but even in the 1 that I've seen, it's definitely a different side that most troopers don't even have an aspect to, as being like the TAC officer, because it is different, very different from being a cadet to a TAC officer. You get to know more of the behind the scenes and the what and the why, exactly what's being done and why it's being done. But probably one of the the biggest thing that I think that I see and noticed in people that was really shocking for them, two things. One, I would say the sleep deprivation, and then probably like the fact that they essentially are going to do a workout every hour on the hour all day long. So that's a lot of weight on the body, constantly working out all day long, and that fatigue is just going to catch up with you so fast.
Yeah, you really do boil down a person's personality and their will to keep going when you add that kind of stress to it. Talk to us a little bit about kind of the reasons why we do what we do in the academy.
Oh man, he can definitely cover that.
Yeah. So for us is building that mental capacity to endure whatever it may be in this job. If it's extreme cold weather, if it's somebody that's you've been fighting for 15 minutes. So we're putting that simulated stress on the academy and getting that stress inoculation training to develop them for when they do get out in the real world scenarios. But it's more than that. This last academy was probably it definitely was one of the best ones I've been a part of, with just the staff and the mindset that everybody had. It was just, everything was so cohesive, and we were able to, change people from day one and seeing them on graduation day and now out working the field. It's a complete 180 from what they showed up to the academy, mentally, physically, spiritually. It's definitely something that it's hard to explain sometimes, but the passion that all these people had and the training staff this last academy was great. But one thing that I really like to see is that ability for them to think, because when you're out there by yourself as a trooper in a rural area and you're the only one there for 20, 30, 50 miles, your lieutenant might be on call, whatever it may be, you have to be able to be a critical thinker. And we've been able to really implement that in this academy. This last one is giving them the option to, hey, I'm not going to give you all the answers. I'm not going to spoon feed you everything. You got to be able to think. And we're able to do that. And hopefully this next future academy, the 75th, the 76th, we're able to just better that. And just, 20 years down the road, the 74th, it was a good academy, but we've grown it so much since then, so it's the ability to change people, mentally, physically, and able to get them to perform in this job is great.
And if someone wants to look at kind of the 74th Academy, we just released that 74th Academy video, the long video. I believe it's on our YouTube. If it's not on our YouTube right now, it will be shortly. But of course, people can go through and see the videos that we did, the episodes that we did throughout the Academy, talking about firearms, driving, defensive tactics, and all that stuff. So that's also something that our listeners can go back and look at. The first few weeks of the Academy, what does that look like?
So usually the first week, we're going to be kind of focusing on, drill and ceremony, things like that, which is going to really kind of build the building block of discipline. People that have never stood in the position of attention for a few minutes, and they have to do that. It's really hard. And there's people in this last academy that broke within that first week because they had to stay in a position of attention. And the reason why we did that this last one was we were honoring the law enforcement memorial. So they actually participated in the law enforcement memorial that's over here behind the command staff. And it broke a lot of them. And, that first week, it's not just yelling, screaming, physical. It's that mental side of being able to have that discipline to, do the things that you're supposed to do. And I kind of tie that back into the real world. If you can't stand in a position of attention or fall in the correct way and be disciplined there, how are you going to be disciplined when you're out on a traffic stop, a felony traffic stop, and, your partner is like, hey, can you watch the passenger? And you don't do it. And, what could happen? It could cost somebody their life. So, that first week is really focused on trying to build that discipline right off the start, getting a little bit of the why we are doing things. And then week 2, we'll probably get into a little bit different things with corrective action. And it's not all, physical the whole time. A lot of the stress once the academy starts is going to be actually from the practical skills that you're learning. So you're not going to be stressed out so much about, not calling attention on deck. You're going to be more stressed out about, man, I got to qualify this time, or I got to make sure that I'm shooting this iteration right when on the firing line, or during DT. There's so much things that build stress other than just the mental and physical side. That practical side of learning new techniques and skills is really what we're trying to incorporate in there as well too.
Yeah, because this is a controlled environment. You guys are able to control all the elements of this academy. the road's not a controlled place. It's an uncontrolled environment. Uncontrolled situations occur, and we've got to be able to maintain that stress, be able to control that stress, and be able to react in a way that our training has taught us.
Now,
We go into legal block. So first couple weeks, now we're in legal block, learning laws and classroom stuff, a lot of classroom stuff in the first few weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say for me, remembering back to my academy, my biggest challenge whenever it came to the legal block was really just staying awake. The information was great, especially for myself, not coming from prior law enforcement. So I enjoy learning new things. So that wasn't necessarily an issue. But when you're so tired and stressed and that kind of a deal, you definitely have to focus extra hard on make sure you're staying awake so that you can retain the knowledge and receive the information that's being put out.
Yeah, which is another element of stress that we had.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, so then we get into some of the fun stuff, some of the stuff that people look forward to, something that we're really known for as far as our training is concerned. I think we do the absolute best job in the state with driving, shooting, and fighting. Where do we go from there? Start getting into those categories.
yeah, absolutely. So one thing that they've incorporated in this next one, so last academy, 74th, firearms was 3 weeks. So they kind of split it up a little bit, but it was consecutive weeks. What we've been doing with DT, this last one was they're doing DT every single week, and they're doing that all the way through the time they graduate. So they're applying these techniques more, they're understanding them better, and they're getting more repetition, so it's easier to retain. Academies in the past usually will do 1 week of DT, and that's the full week. So we still have that in our scenario week, but other than that, we don't have just days that we focus specifically on DT for the most part. And that's something we've been doing with firearms and DT for this next one. So they're going to be able to go to firearms every single week, actually get time on the range and shooting and rounds out. And they're working on those skills for 24 weeks rather than just, a week at a time. And then, those skills can perish, especially discipline skills like DT or shooting. If you don't do it all the time, you're gonna become, deficient in some of these aspects. Your reloads are going to get slower, or you're not going to know how to provide or, hold your handcuffs or do a felony arrest or whatever it may be. There's little things that are easily diminished if you don't actually apply them. So I really love the way we're doing the DT program. I love the way we're going to be doing the firearms program. The last one was great too, but being able to apply those techniques and skills throughout the entire academy is really going to help them retain it and understand it better, in my opinion. I've seen it.
DT is one of those things that somebody can prepare for in the academy. How can they go about doing that?
Prepare for while they're in the academy before?
Yeah, like DT. Like, if a guy wants to find a jiu-jitsu gym, a lot of DT, a lot of, DT week or, the time that you spend on the mats here in patrol school, you get thrown around a lot. Your body may get sore. A guy can kind of prep himself for that, maybe get that soreness out before he gets to the academy by maybe going to some jiu-jitsu classes or something of that nature, right?
Absolutely. That's exactly what we usually suggest, is to find some sort of BJJ gym if they have one locally, or even if they don't, something striking, whether it's Muay Thai, boxing, whatever the case, any of those things that could help out. If for some reason they don't have any of that, maybe possibly there's a high school or college nearby with a wrestling program so they can, like you're saying, get used to be thrown on the ground, getting handled. And also you learn how to handle another human being that's, being an opponent, not wanting to commit to whatever it is that you're trying to get them to do.
Okay. We're heavy in the jiu-jitsu here on the patrol. It's a great, what they call the gentle art. It's a great control martial art, and I'm super thankful for all that I've learned in jiu-jitsu here on the patrol. It's been great. It's a lot of fun. Going into firearms, we got a great firearms program. Guys do a great job with that. These troopers that are now, or these cadets, I should say, that are now coming through the academy, getting issued some amazing equipment. What kind of stuff are they looking to be issued as a cadet?
I'll start with the pistol. The pistol that they're getting issued is the Glock 47, right, with the Trijicon RMR sight. The training is just so in depth, from the lowest skill level person that may have never even touched a pistol, especially using a red dot, to the most experienced. A lot of guys will ask me, where should I start taking classes, or should I do this, or should I do that? Most of the time, the advice is to not do any of that, so that you don't learn the bad habits and then you're stuck with them. And how I know that is definitely a true statement is I had bad habits that I learned in the military. Maybe they weren't necessarily bad, but they weren't the most efficient.
Most up to date.
Right, the most up to date. And I would still just do my malfunction. If I had a malfunction in my rifle, right, because I carried an AR-15 in the military, like how I handled that in the military versus over here, completely different. And it was just muscle memory. Like I would just automatically go into it, not even thinking it, and it would be wrong or slower.
Yeah.
Yeah, they not only that, the instructors that bring stuff back. So there's instructors that spend thousands of dollars of their own money to go to these guys that are training with high-speed people, law enforcement, military, whoever it may be, and they're bringing all this back to our training division. They're really just amping up everything. I remember I thought I was pretty proficient when I came to the patrol with shooting. I mean, I could shoot really good. I thought everything was good, but then when I went through our rifle and pistol stuff, it was night and day difference. I was like, man, this is high speed stuff. This is things that, operators that have been doing for 20 years are doing, or guys that are, realistically tier 1 guys that are teaching you how to actually shoot in an academy. It's crazy. A lot of people have to pay big money for that. And I'm thankful that we have instructors and people that are disciplined in these skills that go out and seek training and bring it back to improve us. But just not only that, I mean, you're getting issued Trichcon RMR, HD, so a Glock, which will probably be a different one with
Yeah,
this
it may be.
this next
I
round.
think there's a Gen 6.
Yeah,
out
the
now.
Gen 6 will probably be it, but it has a performance trigger. You get a Surefire X300 Lite. You're getting a SBR Daniel Defense with a silencer co-suppressor with an aim point red dot. I mean, there's things that this agency's given, and if you think about it, yeah, some small agencies might give that, but there's 30, 40 people. There's 700, 800 troopers, and we're giving out all this equipment, and we're doing it in the academy. It's pretty great.
Well, we got to make sure the equipment that we're issuing is going to be reliable. It's not going to fail on us.
Absolutely.
And that we know how to use it the most efficient way possible when the time comes for that. All right. So LEDT, we're going into that.
Austin's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say probably so I may have had a few speeding tickets before I got into the highway patrol. So, I was definitely used to driving fast and I thought what I thought was fast anyway. But once you actually get out there at Burns Flat, it's just so eye-opening what you can make a car do, right? So if you have a 90-degree turn, you're like, man, I'm not going to go over 35 miles an hour around that thing or something. But whenever you get done with LEDT, you're able to hit those apexes, or what most people would say a corner, right? You can round a corner so fast and so efficiently that people will understand why if a trooper is out on the highways or rural county roads, if they get into a pursuit with a vehicle that may be faster, more capable on getting away in that nature, just our driving capabilities is why we can catch people. It's definitely amazing the things that you learn, right? Like I thought I was pretty good at reversing and backing up, getting into a parking spot, that kind of a thing, that whenever you get out there, all the cone that you're going around and the other little mini situations that they put you in, it's going to make you such a better driver. I almost wish that all of my kids could always just go through. I would love to take my wife out there and just put her through everything. It makes people such a safer driver as well because of the knowledge and information that you have and understanding the vehicle, understanding the weight transfer, and just how to actually, brake, when you should brake and not brake. It makes everybody a much better driver.
builds confidence too. Those courses, going through CLEAT and ADA, which it was good. There was good instructors out there and things like that, but just the size of the course, nowhere compared to what it was like out in Burns Flat, and the actual ability to get up to really high speed was great. I remember the biggest thing when I was in braking with FTT here at Troop and driving and passing cars, running hot to a call that, a pursuit or whatever it may be, having the confidence to pass a car going that fast was because you're not usually 70, 80 in a municipal area is your top speed. And on a highway, depending on what the situation is, you could be chasing a guy that just shot somebody and killed somebody at 120, 130, whatever it may be, as long as it's safe. But the confidence that I got from the driving from LEDT with OHP was unmatched.
What kind of speeds do they hit out there at LEDT?
They start off usually pretty low, especially when it comes to the TVI, the Tactical Vehicle Intervention, right? It usually starts off slower, like the 25. They'll bump up in increments from there. But there isn't a max on, especially like straightaways and things of that nature. There are certain apexes or the corners that they're like, hey, don't go over 55 or whatever around this 90 degree. But if you don't break 100, there's something wrong. You're definitely going to be good.
Not moving fast.
Yeah,
You're not going to catch that right.
Which one thing that definitely surprised me during my academy is the gravel portion of the LADT is like, yeah, I think probably before maybe I never went over maybe 50 at the most on a gravel road.
Yeah.
Man, driving 80 or whatever on a gravel road is definitely.
That's the most fun part of the course to me is that gravel part.
No.
So, all right. So we've gone through the academy stuff. Man, that's about it. Oh, one thing I wanted to cover on that stuff is, and I wanted to touch on this in firearms. Our academy guys, our instructors are really good at building somebody up from ground zero and building them up. So we don't want someone to think that they have to have that type of experience coming into the academy or they're not going to be prepared. Our instructors will teach a person that's maybe never picked up a pistol and actually might be better how to use a pistol, not just efficiently, but very tactically.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Last week I went to a performance pistol course that OHP's hosting now. So it's some guys, some instructors that have went out and sought some more training, spent some money. They're bringing this back. So they had this performance pistol course, and there was I think one cadet from this last academy that got to go to it, right? And just from when he started, just that day. I mean, he was a good disciplined shooter, but just the level of competence that he had from the end of that day was just crazy. It's just you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to. There's guys that never shot a pistol before in their life, and they outshoot some of the guys that have been shooting for 3 or 4 years. So
Because I trust the process.
absolutely, and like Austin said, they don't have some of those bad scars, those training scars that a guy that's had 10 years of shooting experience might have been doing it wrong the whole time. But now we got this fresh, clean platform. This guy doesn't know anything, or this gal, and they go out there and they start applying the skills and techniques that we're teaching them, and they're shooting better than somebody's been shooting for 5-10 years. So
That's awesome. Well, in closing, is there anything that you guys want to add or anything that we missed we didn't talk about that you want?
Yeah, I have a few of the frequently asked questions. So we use a program called Interview Now to text back and forth and communicate with some of these potential applicants. And I get a list of questions, and then of course, there's always a pile that are always asked that are very similar. So I usually have the answer pretty readily available. But hopefully, of course, this podcast will help answer some of those for the people that watch it. So like one of the questions, maybe I'm exaggerating a lot, but it feels like a lot is the Troop O, right? There's a lot of people that are pilots or want to be pilots, so they're reaching out and asking questions. What does it take to be a pilot for the Oklahoma Highway Patrol? One, I usually try to start off with like, okay, are you talking about drones? Or are you talking like rotary wing or fixed aircraft? Because we also have drones now as well, and those pilots. But regardless, you have to have the FAA private pilot's license at the bare minimum, and then, from my understanding, you have to serve 5 years on the patrol as well. Serve patrolling the highways, working accidents, that kind of a thing. And then you would submit a transfer request. Once you get into the 5 year and you have the FAA private pilot license and they put you in Troop O, I believe you have 2 years to get your instrument rating and a commercial rating as well. If I'm messing up some of these terms, please forgive me. I'm not a pilot myself. But so those are the follow-on certificates that a person would need. And then I also have pretty good amount of inquiries about EMSU, or Emergency Medical Services Unit, right? So there are men and women out there that are EMTs or paramedics, and sometimes even nurses that are asking questions about that, how to get on it, how to be serving with our emergency response team or our TAC team as well. And from my understanding, all they have to do is have their basic EMT license. And then also I was told by the lieutenant over the EMSU that every so often the patrol also tries to host that class. So if they're not already qualified in that nature, hopefully there's a class that once they get hired on and they're serving their communities. Another frequently asked question is people, and this typically is young men and women that are still in college that want to finish their bachelor's degree, right, or they're not completed, or service members that their contract is out past the next upcoming academy. Right, so our applications are open right now for the 76th Academy. The Academy starts in September, but say they don't graduate college until May of 2027, or their contract with the service doesn't end until next summer and that kind of a thing. So they ask, should I apply now? And the answer is no. Wait until whichever academy you're going to be available to attend, and that's going to be the academy that you're going to want to apply for. So,
big thanks. And anything else you got?
Yeah, sorry, man. I got a couple of things that I wrote down. I'm not trying to steal a show or anything, but some of the smaller ones is like, Are they paid during the academy? Yes. Do they have to pay to attend the academy? No. And I think that question comes from other states where you can go and pay to their equivalent of like CLEAT or a post academy and then get that certification and try to get into the law enforcement agencies in those states. But for us, you don't have to pay to attend. You do have to buy a few things if you want to talk about that as far as like the kit that they have to buy.
Yeah, so HR, once you're in the application process, you get those conditional offers. They'll send you out a list of things that you need to buy. But one good thing that we've done in the past, what we didn't do in the past that, just because of, I don't think just the understanding or the tradition, but now you're actually buying stuff that you can use in the field. I think all of us, we all bought khakis, right? Which it's a tradition. It was something that helped, I feel like, get your uniform ready and more presentable. But now you're actually buying things that you can wear out in the field. You're buying utility uniform or utility pants that you might use during training or inclement weather. Flashlights. I remember we bought a big D-cell battery flashlight. Now you're actually buying a flashlight. I believe it's the Streamlight flashlight that's able to be carried on. That's the one I actually carry on my duty belt now. But you're buying things that you can actually use in the field. So yeah, there might be a little bit of an upfront cost, but you're actually going to need that stuff anyway when you graduate the academy. So that's one thing that is good compared to academies of the past.
So then, and a few other things, especially still staying on the academy thing. So another question I have sometimes from the veterans is, can they use their GI Bill during the academy? And they can through the academy, and I believe through FTT. Once they get off of FTT, I think their GI Bill, they can't use it anymore after that. And I don't know the number, but they get a stipend for almost as if they were in an OJT type schooling.
Yeah, so you'll fill out, actually when the academy, everybody will fill this out. It'll be on the job training form, but the veterans that want to use their post 9/11 or GI Bill, they'll get that full BAH. So they'll get $1,300 or whatever it is now. I don't know what it is.
I did not know that.
They'll get $1,300 extra a month just for the academy, and then all the way through their break-in process as well.
So that's super helpful, especially for people that have families, right? Still have a mortgage and that kind of a thing. The last thing that I'm going to say about the academy is one thing. This is just an Austinism, I guess, or personal advice. Is the one academy that I did tack. You'll have people, and it happened during my academy as well. And I'm sure it's a common thing, but there are individuals that will quit the academy because a loved one gets in some kind of situation, right? Their grandfather has a stroke, or their dad gets into a car accident, loses his leg, and they got to go, whatever the case may be. And this is just talking from my personal opinion and how I think. I do have a son. My son is actually in the Army right now in Fort Benning, Georgia, going through the 11 Bravo AIT right now. So he has hopes and dreams of being a Ranger one day. So, if he's in RASP or the Ranger School, and he's going through that very tough and challenging process to get to his dreams and goals, if I were to get into a situation where I'm on my deathbed, I love my son to death. However, I would be devastated if he quit that process just to come by my bedside. Like I love my son, but he's not going to be able to save me, right? Like he's not going to keep me from dying and that kind of a thing. So I understand that he would love me back, and I'm sure they would at least let him come attend a funeral should something like that happen. Same for us, right? If there's a funeral that needs to be attended, these men and women can do that. However, I would be devastated if I thought I was the reason that my son or daughter didn't complete a very grueling and challenging thing that they had their heart set on.
Looking forward to a 20-year career.
Absolutely. Yeah. And from this academy, this last one, we got stuff that came up, and hey, we're humans too. So if there's a situation in the academy that you need to go and be a part of, we're going to let you, have some time. And, there's certain things that you can't miss, but if we're able to make it back up, later on or during a block that really doesn't have instruction, we'll do that. But just know that, like Austin was saying, is don't take that from them. Don't take that sense of pride they're going to feel when you graduate, get a badge pinned on your chest. So definitely think about that. And if you do end up making it to this academy, just know that you're the only person that can stop you. Nobody else can stop you. Your family can't stop you. You're the only person that can quit this. So.
Yeah. And then the last frequently asked question as far as getting hired goes, a lot of people, what are my chances of getting hired? And there's too many variables to really say and give an answer right. And I don't know the life that they lived. Have they lived a life of good moral character? But also probably the biggest thing that is the biggest variable is the amount of applications, right? So I can't ever predict that. One year it might be 100 applicants, so the next year it might be 900 applicants. So I can't tell you what a statistical number is and that kind of a thing. So I just hopefully everybody is confident, believes in themselves well enough to go ahead and apply, throw their name in the hat. And if you don't get hired the first go around, it's also not people that have come back around second and even third times and be hired on their second or third attempt as well.
Yeah.
So, but for me, for one thing that I try to advise these guys when they come to the Train with the Trooper workout, one, they get to be around us and get to know us and then ask us one-on-one questions. And sometimes that's kind of hard to do over the phone or through an email, so they get to do that. But I typically advise them on the mental stress aspect and the many things that they can do, the miniature things that they can do now to try to prepare for the academy. And so like you were saying, BJJ, if they're already rolling in a jiu-jitsu gym, if they enter into tournaments, right? Because like if you've never done a BJJ tournament and you enter into one, like you're probably not going to sleep good the night before, right? Probably not going to eat the same, stuff like that. So it's just a little micro setup of prepare yourself for stressful things in the academy.
Good. Anything else you guys like to add?
Yeah, just those that are in college right now and they graduate in May or whatever it may be, just put your application in. It's perfect timing. You're a senior in college right now. Applications are going to end April 1 for this 76, and the projected start date still September. So,
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for sitting down and talking with us about the subject. It's looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing how we can recruit over the next 18 months. You guys obviously play an integral part of that. So thank you so much for your time and appreciate it.
appreciate you. Thank you, sir.